Listen, the markets are in free fall basically across the globe as a result of this. We can take a look at the very latest numbers. We've got oil over $100 a barrel. That is the first time that has happened since 2014. You guys already know what you're paying at the pump. This is going to have significant impacts on, and of course, oil isn't just about what you pay at the pump. Oil is a critical input for almost everything in our society. So when you see oil go up, you see prices for basically everything rise at a time when inflation is already very high. So that is critical. The numbers that I looked at this morning, you had the European markets. This is from CNBC that fell sharply at the open. You had Germany's market down 3.6%, leading regional losses. Shares in Asia Pacific plummeted across the board, led by a 3.2% decline in Hong Kong. We've got stock futures cratering stateside. Futures on Dow Jones average indicating a loss of more than 600 points at the open.
Yeah. Actually, it's 800 now. I just looked.
800 now, the very latest. Thank you for that update. Russian ruble sank to an all-time low against the dollar. And then you have, those safe harbors or perceived safe harbors, of course, all spiking massively. Spot gold jumped to its highest level in more than a year. Wheat futures spiked to their highest level since 2012. Soybean futures notched an all-time high. So, this is we already were in a shaky place economically, obviously in terms of inflation, in terms of oil costs, and in terms of the markets, which were, already in correction territory in some instances. And obviously, this is everybody's worst case scenario. I think a lot of Wall Street did not, like us, think that we would see actual all-out war, full-scale invasion. So there's going to be huge fallout from that. You couple that with, obviously, refugee crisis. You couple that with just total uncertainty with what's the Fed going to do now in terms of rate changes? How are they going to adjust their posture? And this looks like a whole lot of pain.
Oh, man. 800 point down, the ruble at its lowest. I do want to say that the Russians have actually been preparing this for a long time, and they have a huge amount of currency reserves. So even though we would cut them off from the Federal Reserve System, they've apparently been amassing a large war chest, and they'll be able to withstand the sanctions regime for about a year. But it's going to last a whole lot longer than that. And, in terms of the major response as well, this is going to cause significant turmoil here at home. President Biden made that clear. And that, in my opinion, is the greatest threat to his presidency yet, which is 100%. If gas hits $5 a gallon across this country, people are going to freak out. It's already $5 over in California. Here, they talked about tapping the strategic oil reserve. There ain't nothing you can do in order to prevent something going above $100, $120 a barrel. That's going to be a disaster. And at the same time, also I'm seeing a lot of consternation around both Keystone Pipeline, about discussion of U.S. fracking. We're going to be seeing significant drilling exploration across the American West and in the Midwest as well. The Biden administration is going to pay a big political price on that, in my opinion. Whether you agree or not, it's a compelling point. I personally was very for the pipeline.
It's a disaster for people who care about climate change because obviously now, yes, they're going to be greenlighting all kinds of new projects and to, dig more fossil fuels out of the ground. There's just no doubt about it. So
there's no way around it. We have to at this point.
It is a disaster.
The domestic economy is going to crash. Heating prices also, it's still cold. If we have a cold freeze in March or something like that, that's going to be a catastrophe. Natural gas prices. Another thing I do want to emphasize is that a huge, huge portion of nitrogen was coming out of China and Russia. And if we see a crackdown on the exports from that happens, nitrogen is a key ingredient for fertilizer. And the increase in nitrogen price is what was causing fertilizer prices to go up, which was causing food price pressure. So if we see even more of that, food, which, at this point you can barely even imagine, could actually go up by 40, 50%. We have not seen this level of global disruption to the U.S. economy in a long time. And I callously said in the last show that the worst thing that would happen to the is the global energy. And I'm sorry, I apologize to the Ukrainians. I didn't mean it, because there is going to be a big loss of life. But look, this is a U.S. show. I'm trying to tell you how it's going to impact your life and cause major domestic turmoil. I don't think necessarily Krystal will have lines at the gas station, but it's a possibility. I mean, and the parallels to the Carter administration keep piling up in my mind. Runaway inflation, gas crisis. Soviets actually invaded Afghanistan in 1979. All of this was sparked by the idea that we had a weak West and administration. It led to the rise of Reagan. I have no idea what will come next, but I really do feel as if we're in this absolute moment of critical change.
Yeah.
The U.S. economy, and you're doing your whole monologue on this, even though it was written before the Ukraine invasion, which is that the way people feel about work has changed. The way people feel about their employer has changed. The macroeconomic conditions through which people were buying SUVs and stuff, that's changed. I mean, the way that we consume as a country is going to change dramatically. I mean, our imports, exports, everything is now.
And the divides in our country had already been both cultural divides, also economic divides. We had already been so pulled apart that, we're not in a position to take socially and culturally the kind of stress and strain that we're about to experience. Ken Klippenstein had a piece I wanted to highlight that I think is also really significant in The Intercept. We don't have a tear sheet from this, but I'll read a little bit to you. The headline is, Saudi-Russia collusion is helping to drive up gas prices and worsening the Ukraine crisis. A spat between Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Biden is pushing gas prices ever higher. It started under Obama. He says, as Russia ordered troops into Ukraine on Monday, gas prices soared to their highest levels in over 7 years. While the media focused on the conflict in Ukraine, a major cause of the gas price spike has gone overlooked. Moscow's partnership with Saudi Arabia has grown dramatically in recent years, granting the two largest oil producers in the world the unprecedented ability to collude in oil export decisions. So you have Russia being backed up by the Chinese, and you also have this Russian collusion that's been ongoing for a while now. That sounds very Russiagate-y, but with Saudi Arabia.
Yes, with the Saudis.
Right, with the Saudis to punish us with higher gas prices. And so, this adds to the difficult terrain that we will be facing here domestically.
Oh, yeah. I think that we're in for real domestic turmoil here, and the administration can warn all it wants, but we need to frack, drill. I mean, there's going to be a huge boom in the U.S. energy sector, and unfortunately, that just means everybody's going to have to pay even more than they already do. Increase food price, decrease stock price, which means given a financialization of our economy, there's going to be less cash sloshing about. Interest rates could go up. Inflation is already high. Russia, remember, also is a huge player in the global financial system. Europe is really going to suffer. Russian oligarchs spent a huge amount of money in the UK. They're going to be cut off. I mean, I'm not saying we're in for a global economic depression necessarily, but we're in for some strife, which is not going away and will continue to be the case for a long time. So I would say, if anything, that's a major takeaway for how it's probably going to affect you, which is you should probably expect more to pay more at the pump in the years to come.
Let me just say, big picture, that this is a very compelling reason for why we should have invested a lot in renewables a long time ago, so that we weren't so dependent on these petrostates. There's a lot of ways to get to energy independence, but there's no doubt that this is going to be a lot of pain going forward.
Somebody tweeted this morning, I couldn't agree with it more. Like, we need like a new deal for nuclear power plants across this country, across Europe as well. We need to go full scale on all of this. Now is the time. People
on the left who are worried about nuclear energy need to get over it.
Yeah, sorry guys, get over it, because
I think there's a generational thing there. People who really have these like searing memories and experiences of nuclear
3 Mile Island was
disasters.
a long time ago. Okay, we're not the Russians. Fukushima also was a freak event that the Japanese screwed up. The nuclear power plants of 2022, not even close. We need to see a full-blown change in the way that the Federal Energy Commission regulates and greenlights some of this stuff. We have power plants which are waiting years. Now is the time. I mean, we could frack, drill, fine in the short term. It's the time to build all across the country, all across Europe, because you see the consequences of allowing yourself now to be so reliant on this.
That is exactly Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like we talk about offshoring our manufacturing capacity to China.
This is the same thing.
Reasons
Yeah.
why we need to be able to be
Right.
independent and, have our own resources here at home. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.